I just thought about this, and I hesitate to even say it because I'm going to speak it into existence. After map-to-map travel, the quest, the guide, will undoubtedly be to do them all without coming back to the stash.
F yourself.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the podcast. We're so dedicated to talking about all the progress things in life, like music, content creation, and video games. I am one of your co-hosts, Juicy Kazoom.
Yeah, I got you a little bit.
A little bit.
I get a little bit.
I gotcha.
Well, how's it going, pal?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just out on my lawn fertilizing, making sure my irrigation system is all up to snuff. You know,
How grass stained are your New Balances?
dude. Well, you know, I do have out like lawn shoes now. They're not New Balances yet, but they're just like an old pair of shoes that I leave in the garage for when I'm doing lawn
Are they
stuff.
Reebok? What brand? Tell
Well, they're
me.
my old Vans that I kind of busted up that I don't wear anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
My old shoes are strategically placed in the corners of like 4 different stairs because that's where the cat likes to like get under the carpet. So if I just like put a shoe there in the way, then she doesn't like rip up the carpet. So I've just got like
oh
shoes.
my god. Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, I'm telling you, it sucks you in. You know what I mean? At first, I was just like, well, I just want to make sure that the irrigation system works. You know what I mean? And then it's like, well, it's not really aimed. And well, these I need to raise these up a little bit. So, well, and then it just sucks you in. And then I'm freaking changing. I've been at Ace or Home Depot literally every weekend, getting fittings, raising stuff up, making sure it's. I can't stop.
Yeah. I was just outside. I was just outside this afternoon because this morning my wife noticed a tiny little mouse that was right outside our front door,
Yep.
like right next to the steps.
Mhm.
We have like an awning next to the driveway, and she's like, he's just sitting there. Like normally they would like run away, and he was just kind of sitting there chilling. And it was fucking hot today, dude.
Mm.
It was hot and like 90 something.
Yeah.
And later on, around like lunchtime, she went out to grab food and came back. She's like, he's still there. Like, no. So and I know I went outside and I noticed his leg. I think his leg was kind of fucked up.
Mm.
I felt really bad. So I took like a little Tupperware cap,
Mhm.
put some water there because like
Yeah.
I went out for errands. I got my hair cut, did a bunch of things. I came back. It was like 2 o'clock and he was still there. And he's just been sitting in the same spot, 90 degrees.
Yeah.
Like, so I gave him some water and she went out to check like an hour ago and she said he was gone. So I'm going to take that as he needed a little bit of water to get some rest and relaxation
yep.
and, you know, hope.
Yep. But that happens all the time in Florida. It's just little baby gators instead of mice. You know, we pet them, we feed them.
Meow.
Yeah, and then we just release them back.
Is that like Gary? Is that Gary and SpongeBob?
Oh yeah.
Meow.
Meow. Yep. What's up, man? How you doing?
Good. I've been, I started.
Yeah.
I told you, so I told Jesse, I figured out what my next project is going to be.
Dude.
It's actually totally different than some of the things I talked about, but it's also not going to be as in depth.
Yeah, it's not as big of a project.
It's not going to be. There's no reason why it would need to be more than 90 minutes. It could be 45 if I make it tight. So
Yeah.
we'll see. But so I was talking to Jesse a little bit, and I basically was like, I'm going to keep this one on the down low. I just want to release it, and I don't want to, you know. And then I started to realize when I saw how much content I have to go through.
Yeah.
For the research, I'm like, there's not enough. I can't stream for 8 hours and
Yeah.
consume like dozens and dozens and dozens of hours of content.
Yep.
And have a life, you know. So it's still the best way that I can go through
That's
this.
what.
Is by
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when you mentioned that, because it was like, I get that, but it requires so much watching and consuming and taking notes that the stream just feels like such a good place to do that.
yeah, and so yeah, what I'm working on is some dipping my toes into the true crime realm. I don't want to give too many details, but we're talking the double homicide. And if you want any more details, I'm gonna be live like every day. Come by, ask about it. We can give you some details. But I want to keep this kind of on the DL
Yeah,
as
a
much as
little bit
possible.
more so.
Mostly because I personally discovered something that no one else knows that I like I want to be the one to like say the thing,
drop
you know?
it in the video. Yep.
So
that's exciting though. That's exciting. It feels good to be back on a project.
Yeah, and I think I've got the creative juices flowing on some things, and this is like totally different genre that usually tends to do really well.
Yeah, on YouTube.
I just gotta figure out. I need to look at. There's a million things I'm not sure about. You know, like what kinds of things you put in the title that would like red flag your video. You know, like I don't know if like murders or killing or like what kind of words couldn't be in the title. I don't know about like specific content warning type stuff around like it's a lot of the details are really graphic.
Yeah.
So I got to figure out how much I want to talk about.
Yeah.
How much I'm not going to talk about, and also just knowing like this is real life shit.
For sure.
I want to be sensitive.
Yeah, it's a different ball game. Yeah.
So a lot of things to consider, but
that's cool. I finished the Flat Earth doc.
Yeah.
I got through all 8 hours, dude. It's so good. It's so good. It's funny because that's what you were kind of saying a few weeks ago was like the end is not like the beginning. Like, you know what I mean? You spend a lot of time, you know, kind of dunking on him in the beginning, but the way it ends really is like, I don't know. I find it fascinating because it connects to a lot of what we were talking about on the Patreon this Monday and a lot of conversations I've been having, but it really is crazy to see just the extra layer that you did in the video about like how a lot of these beliefs either connect or are similar or come from similar like mental reasoning, and how like it almost just like releases you from having to, and you had mentioned this sentiment before where it's like you're not concerned with necessarily refuting a specific claim because you're like, oh, I know, I can see how deep this goes, and either sometimes it's just a recognition that somebody's mind can't be changed in this moment under this circumstance. So and you can see that now as a result of diving into that world so much, and so it just changes the perspective, which I feel like I kind of got towards the end. It ends. It's sad. It's not like a super happy-go-lucky perspective, but it is a changed perspective on it. It's fascinating.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I was hoping at the end, where you know, you have people that would say like, how can you watch this? It's like so infuriating that you can't like shake these people into reason.
Yeah.
Once you realize they are immune to it, then you see it differently.
Yes.
It's the equivalent of like, why can't I just shake the monkey until it says like, Mike, I am Mike.
Yeah.
This is Jesse. Say it. Say the words. Say it. The English, you know? Like, you can't shake the monkey enough to where it's going to understand language. You can't reason with the conspiratorial minded people, whether they're flat earthers or whatever. You cannot reason with them. And yeah, it's the reason why I also said why like debating with them was never my intention. Because when you see someone say a thing that's extremely basic, like just foundationally wrong on every level, and then you see somebody else rebut it with exactly the right answer, so like supported by evidence from the right sources, you know, with reproducible results, like all the thing, and they just go no. I'm not going to do better than that, and that didn't even put a chink in the armor.
Not even for a second. Yep.
So then you don't really get mad that they're not listening because you expect them to not listen.
Yeah. And I feel like you did a good job with that. Like it almost, I mean, it's a long video, right? And so it almost got to the point where it's like, oh my God, like how many of these clips are you going to show of these people? But that needed to happen for that plane to land at the end, because you kind of brought the viewer along on that journey. You know, it was exhausting to watch.
Exhausting for me.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's exhausting to watch, which is a peek into how exhausting it is to interact with these people. And it helps, because if it hadn't been that way, it would have felt disingenuous. If you had showed 4 clips of flat earthers being goofballs and then made those claims you made at the end, it would have been like, okay, but you really brought the viewer along for that ride. And when you get to the end and you see the purpose that it serves, you're like, oof, you know what I mean? You start to get it a little bit. It's a fraction of what you had to consume, but it successfully, I feel like, as somebody that hasn't consumed a lot of that content, it successfully kind of got me there where I was like, oh man, you know?
Yeah. So I ended up finishing watching the live stream.
Oh yeah.
Where one of the guys, one of the ones that I had like actually engaged with, where he was like, I'm going to watch all 8 hours of the video on my stream. At one point, he ended up going like 2x speed.
Nice.
He was also like drinking a bunch. So like he looked like he was like falling asleep and not paying attention towards the end. Not that he was paying attention in the beginning either, but it was just incredible how every step of the way, all of the points I had made were perfectly demonstrated. Like painfully, ironically, like it actually got to the point where there was a period where I started to question whether or not they were serious, like real or not.
Yeah.
Because it was so, you know, like at one point we were talking about how they don't understand math, geometry, abstraction, all those things. And they had literally watched the montage and been like, this was pointless. It doesn't demonstrate anything. They think they're so good at math. And then he pulls up a picture that had a right angle triangle, right?
Yeah.
And so right here, the corner, that corner is, like a 45 degree.
Yeah.
And he was like, they're so stupid. They don't know that the 45 degree is the hypotenuse of the triangle. But this is the hypotenuse.
Yeah.
It's a line.
Yeah.
It's the one that's opposite the, 90 degree.
Yep.
So they just got something extremely simple, basic wrong.
Yeah. Some like actual,
while being like, they think we're bad at math and they think
high school geometry.
No, like middle school. And then, they repeatedly were saying how I was misrepresenting all of their arguments, but every time they're misrepresenting their arguments, not showing their arguments, because they're like, oh, it's so one-sided, he's not showing any of the arguments. And yet every time there was a long monologue with a flat earther, they would nod their heads and be like, yup, totally agree with him. It's like, how am I misrepresenting you?
Yeah.
If they just made the argument and you agree with them.
Yep.
There was no taking out of context.
Exactly. Yeah.
So many times when they said like really obviously dumb shit, like just where I didn't have to rebut it or anything right afterwards, they'd be like, he's just continuing and he's not going to respond. And it's like, to that, no, I wasn't going to respond to that. I can't think of any of the specific examples.
Vacation.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was a whole other ball game. Then there was just so many aspects of it that were there was kind of a pattern where I would talk about a problem, a thing, a claim, an argument, right? And then I would show visuals that I were like drawn.
Yeah.
And explain the answer, the response.
Yeah.
And then sometimes would show like a 3D model or a simulation or whatever, and then would show a real world example. And without fail, like every time they would sit through the beginning part, I would start showing the drawn thing, then they would all start saying, "Oh, yeah, the cartoons are really good. They can't demonstrate blah blah."
Yeah.
And then they would all talk and talk and talk back and forth over me making the key point and showing the real world example.
Yep.
They're not paying attention. They're not
Yep.
listening to anything I'm saying. They would forget that they're sitting here saying I didn't do a thing I'm doing right in front of them that they're not looking at.
Yep.
And then I would move on to something, and they'd still like, what? He didn't even respond to like he didn't back up his claim. He's just making claims.
Yeah.
He's just making
Yep.
claims and not backing them up.
Yep.
And then the most egregious thing was just that they kept over and over and over accusing me of lying.
Yeah.
And being dishonest. Every time they were lying and being dishonest. And I had like I was literally sending the dude clips from his own videos and streams. I have since basically said, I hope you get help, like you're mentally ill.
Yeah.
And I'm no longer talking to these guys. But there was a period where I kind of delusionally thought that I would give them the benefit. This one guy, the benefit of the doubt. He seemed like he's the one that wanted to play PUBG with me.
Yeah.
And he kept asserting that I claimed to have been unbiased.
Oh,
And
yeah.
But the clip is him saying, "Did you enter this with a bias?" And I said,
No.
"Absolutely,
Or yeah.
100%." So the whole time, but all the 8 hours, every 30 seconds, and this guy says he was unbiased. What a dishonest, over and over and over again. And he's on a panel with like 5 dudes just repeatedly doing, they claimed that, I think I pointed out, I went on FTFE, the guy Fight the Flat Earth, one of the like debunkers. I went on his stream, he like interviewed me. And one of the things I pointed out was how they were talking about how low quality my video was. And they kept mocking the fact that it was a documentary when I went on their stream. I said like documentary is the word everybody keeps using. I don't like the word documentary. It's just like video essay, like whatever. I was downplaying that it was a documentary. They were over and over saying he says it's a documentary. So again, that's another lie and a misrepresentation. But they were talking about how low quality mine was. And I pointed out that his latest video that came out, his voiceover was just hard panned left. It's just in the left ear. And I'm like, how fucking bad do you have to be at video production? Like, at no point did you listen to the video, but you put it out.
Oh my God.
And then he responded and said, he lied about my video. I checked it and it's in stereo. And I open up the video and I listen and it's hard pan left. And I send them the timestamp. I'm like, it's hard pan left. Why are you lying? Saying I'm lying. And it's just like so many of those things but all of them, if they just say he's lying, he's dishonest, he's lying, he's dishonest, he's lying,
he's
then
lying,
they all
he's
start
dishonest,
to believe it.
he's biased, like a bunch of stuff, which doesn't even matter because the bias thing is so funny because you can, like, if you're genuinely going to go into something, you should try and provide the least amount of bias possible, but you can be biased on something and then prove yourself wrong. So it's like what you showed were often just like objective, either examples or scientific principles or quoting literal people who wrote papers on this. Like there was enough objective fact that it's like, that's just a red herring. It's just a distraction. It's just, well, how can you listen to any of this? He's so biased. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I came in there knowing, and I told them, I don't think the earth is flat. I believe the earth is round, and I don't. But I'm objective, and I'm willing to listen to arguments and willing to listen to evidence, and I can have my mind changed. But the evidence needs to be proportionate to the claims. So there's a difference between being biased and being unfair.
Exactly. But they can just put it all under this umbrella of, well, if he's biased, it must mean the whole thing is tainted. And I can prove that he's biased. And he kept saying he was unbiased. No, I know, but that's where it would go if you would push back on it. You know what I mean? So it's...
Yeah, so the whole thing's a giant mess. But
once again, like you said, expected. You get to the end, it's like, this is exactly what... if you get to that point where you do realize that their minds are unchangeable, at least in the context of like a conversation, you know, at least in the context of if they're talking to you in that moment, their minds are unchangeable, then you can predict this because, okay, if their belief is an immovable object on this, and we have just an overwhelming, we can't even hold it all, the evidence that they're objectively false. Just like play that out in your mind. Like mind won't be changed. The belief system is in this case, for all intents and purposes, locked down, unchangeable. And we have all this. Just play it out. What has to happen? Well, they're going to have to deny. They're going to have to distract. They're going to have to lie. And it's just like exactly that happens. You know what I mean? Like you can predict it because it just, you know, it was so funny because it was the day after I finished it. I think, yeah, and because yesterday, and I think I finished it the day before yesterday. I was just in chat and we were just talking about it because I've had people for 2 weeks been like, yo, have you finished the video? And I was like, no, I'm working on it. Have you checked the video? Oh, I've been out of town. And so someone was like, yo, you finished the video? I was like, bro, yes, I finished it. And we were talking about some stuff. And somebody had brought up the Mississippi guy, the like gravity can't be 9.8 meters per second squared because I can drop a penny and I'm 5'10" and I count one Mississippi, two Mississippi. And so we were laughing at that. And then somebody put the timestamp. So I pulled up your video to that timestamp and we watched that part of the video. And then somebody in chat was like, all Veritas did in that video was express his opinions, nothing else. And I was like, dude, you literally should have seen. I was like, yes. I was like, keep going. Tell me more. I was excited. I was like, dude, please tell me you're legit right now. Like,
someone came in. I get a red alert. You're needed like the fucking
the bat signal.
SEAL Team 6 needs to assemble or whatever. And I'm like, what? Really? Bro. I'm like, did Jesse ask for this or?
Yeah. So he was like, he said that, and I was just like, dude, keep going. I was like, are you real or are you joking? You know what I mean? And it was so funny because it played out exactly as you would expect before you got there. You know what I mean? He said, you know, Veritas didn't do anything except for express his opinions. So right off the gate, I'm like, you didn't watch the video or you watched it like this. La, 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 la. You know what I mean? Like, very obviously, if like you're just coming out of the gate being like, the sky is purple, take me seriously. And it's like, holy cow, this isn't going to go well for you, but this is hilarious. And then
the sky is basketball, but the earth isn't.
Yeah. And then he said something along the lines of, so you're gonna believe cartoons and numbers. And I was like, numbers, very much so, yes. You know what I mean? Like, yes, numbers are good. Numbers are good. And then later he was like, I just believe the earth is the shape that God says it is. And so I was like, and I tried hard because I knew not to get sucked in too deep because I had just finished your video. You know what I mean? But immediately, of course, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, you just said, are you really going to believe numbers a la math and science? And then in the next breath said, this book we found that was written 2,000 years ago says something, and I just implicitly believe it to be true. Also, I hit him with I'm pretty sure I've read the Bible more than you, and it never says the earth is flat, bro. So
that was the first thing I saw when I came in. He goes, oh, so you just deny God.
Yeah, he said, why do you hate God?
Oh, yeah, that. Why do you hate God? I was like, and I responded with the dog. I don't hate fictional characters. Yeah. It's all good. Like,
dude, so it was just like, it was so funny because it played out exactly. I mean, it was diminish. Step one, diminish. That video was terrible. All he did was this. Step two, belittle. I can't believe you put your faith in numbers and cartoons. And then
step zero was don't watch.
Yeah. Step zero was don't watch. And then immediately in the next breath, confidently assert that some random interpretation of a book written several thousand years ago is a higher authority than numbers, math, science. So it's just like, woo! It's just a roller coaster of even just trying to follow. I wasn't there to refute him, or I was like, there's no way I'm convincing you the earth is round in this conversation, bro. But it was mental gymnastics to just keep up with the logic. You know what I mean? It was crazy.
And see, now when I was there and hearing all of the things that you just said, now this is actually something that never made it into the video, that I'm a little sad about not making into the video, but I didn't want it to be 10 hours.
Yeah.
Because this was like 5th in my list of things that I didn't get in that I wanted to talk about. But I wanted to talk about Poe's law. So for those who don't know, a lot of times you'll see someone
Edgar
will be like, "That's a no." You'll see someone will say that person's a Poe. And it was actually originated on like Christian forums.
Interesting.
.com back in like the early 2000s. So by a guy whose like last name was like, Christopher Poe or something.
Yeah.
And he basically coined the phrase like without like a wink and a nudge or like a /s or like a kappa, it's impossible to tell the most absurd parody from real, genuine, extreme belief.
Yeah.
So
I was thinking that too at the end. I was like, are you even real, bro?
And I was gonna show, there are a couple of folks that there's one that I know was a Poe because he like went in and had a whole debate against MC Toon and then basically admitted that he was actually a Glober. But it was obvious, instantly obvious, because it's like, bro, you know too much about science and math. Like this, it's not adding up. He understood what gravity like was in our model and was like willing to engage with it and was trying to like debunk actual real gravity rather than just calling it magic, hand waving it away and saying it's like electro.
Interesting.
It's like, no,
it's like you actually know too much to be able to believe in the flat earth. Like,
yeah. So, and it's really interesting that like I watched like half of it and was like, this guy's totally a Poe before I knew that he was really confirmed.
Yeah.
There's another one that I'm like 98% sure is a Poe. And I've gone from 100% to 90% to 50 to 99 to 80.
which proves the point of like sometimes it's impossible to tell.
It's this girl Mallory that sounds like she's like 16 and she's just like this cartoon character avatar or whatever. And everything, all of her content is like hilariously bad quality in like an ironic way.
Yeah.
So like she has her like little character. And you know how like in Paint, if you draw like a circle, if you grab like the corner of like the thing, you can like change the size and the shape of the circle. She just does that while she records the voiceover as like the mouth going like, and this is what but it's like, it's kind of like internet historian.
Yeah.
It's like kind of good in a funny way. And she says things like, she always describes the math as being squiggly. She's like, all these people in their squiggly math because it has like symbols she doesn't understand. And she accuses all the Globers of being ball washed, which is the most hilarious, like brainwashed. But she's like, you might have fallen for ball washedism, or you might have like a diagnosis of ball washedism if, and it's like, you do squiggly math. And it's like so hilariously
ball wash.
It's so I can't tell if they're just like a good-hearted troll that really believes the earth is flat, or if it's
oh my god.
So I was going to talk about how it's really hard. Now with that guy, I'm like almost 100% sure he was actually fake, but I have to be almost because he might just be that fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But it really is. It's once you understand the arguments, it's genuinely. It feels impossible.
Yeah.
To know.
Yeah. For sure. I was thinking that at the end. On like the it just became less fun Because at first I was like, yes. But then I was like, because that was what I was thinking. I was like, man, if you're trolling, this is what you want. And I don't want to give you what you want. You know what I mean? But if you're not, I find this to be hilarious. I also like, I don't know. It took the wind out of the sails when he was just like, I just believe it's what God says it is. Because I was like, I felt like that changed it because I was like, now I was ready to make fun of you because this is funny. But now I feel like it feels different. You know what I mean? I'm like making fun of you or what you believe spiritually. And I was like, I don't know. So like it was such a weird conversation. It like got real high really quickly. And I think that's when people were like, told you. And then it really quickly fell off. And I was like, well, this guy's kind of lame. I don't know.
Yeah, like someone in chat just...
Go ahead.
Someone in chat just said the 3 pyramids line up with the stars on Orion's belt.
That's what he said.
The comment that sold it was a troll to me. That they all believe that.
Yeah.
They all believe in like unironically.
Yeah.
They will talk about this and that and this and that, and then they'll talk about how, like, is it really a coincidence that like the number of this such a thing has 33, and because they actually believe that that the global conspiracy, that they're hiding everything, but also that they want to kind of tell you and they want to hint at it. They need to leave you breadcrumbs.
Yes.
This idea
you have
that,
to
like,
be.
Why would you want to leave hints?
It's a selection thing. It proves that I'm smart enough. Like I'm smart enough to have figured it out. Right.
They all want to be the fucking national treasure.
Yeah. For sure. Nicolas Cage. For sure.
Yeah.
I didn't realize like, and you didn't include too much of this in the video, but I didn't like. There were lots of clips that alluded to it, but there wasn't like a section on it, which is probably understandable. But like when he hit me with the, I just believe the shape of the earth is the way God said, I was like, man, I've been in religious circles my whole life. Like I was never even floated that. Like there was no like, is that a super common?
That is the foundation.
Religious tie-in.
That is the foundation of
because,
it.
Like, do they have
all
verses that?
They do have verses, but they're now I didn't spend a ton of time getting into this because like I even say the Bible to me personally, like no offense to all the religious folks out there, it's a snooze fest.
Yeah.
I just find it not compelling writing.
Yeah.
It's just like not interesting. So I just like didn't even feel like getting into that research.
Which, like I said, that makes sense.
No, but so they have a bunch where they talk about, sometimes they talk about like the firmament and whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll say that they're actually, the word is like dome, or they'll talk about the spread out the 4 corners of the earth on top of, so they literally think that maybe there are some kind of pillars underneath the 4 corners, that it must have to be like a square.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is actually one of the, if not the biggest reason for the conspiracy, in that what the purpose of the globe and everything that comes with it, which is this massively infinite expanding universe with trillions of stars, planets, blah, 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 right? That is all to say you are unimportant.
Yeah.
You are not special. The world, the universe, nothing, none of it was created for you. You stay down like a dog where we can, like.
Yeah.
So it's to hide God. And that's because the flat earth it's not like, a lot of people just think that the earth is a pizza pie. Everything else is the same.
Yeah.
But what comes with the flat earth is there is nothing else. There's no universe.
Yeah.
The earth is not even at the center of the universe. It is the only thing.
Yeah.
There's nothing. Space doesn't exist. Everything we see,
except
they're lights.
For the fact of all the people that think on the other side of the wall, it just keeps going. Like I was cackling at the dude in the cowboy hat talking about.
He's a millionaire. His name's Flat Earth Millionaire. He's actually a millionaire.
Of course. You could tell because of the verbiage he was using. He said past the ice wall, there's more real estate. Like he's thinking about rental properties on the other side of the ice wall, dude. I was like, bro. But I hadn't heard that either. because I once again, going into the video, I didn't know a whole lot about flat Earth either. So I thought that too. I was like, well, what do they think about the other planets? And then you quickly realize, oh, they don't think there are other planets. You know what I mean? But then there was that section where so many of them thought that there's infinite land, infinite resources, infinite food, infinite free unlimited energy, all on the other side of the ice wall, and they're trying to keep us
other
in.
civilizations and technology.
And so I was like,
think that the alien ships and stuff are actually alien ships, but they're from outside. They're not.
But that's what's so funny, because that seems to contradict the core of, well, God says we're special, we're everything. You know, you're trying to hide God. It's like that's weird to me that they're like, infinite space. What kind of idiot would think that? It's infinite land. And it's like, wait, what? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, that's the thing, is that you can't ask too many questions.
Yeah, fair.
Because it just crumbles, because they haven't thought about.
Yeah.
They haven't thought about like so many aspects of it. And of course, like their evidence for infinite land is like some fiction books that talk about like a gate.
Yeah, they look like Lord of the Rings maps.
yeah, they look like worse than So
that was surprising to me, because I mean, like I said, we've talked about it on the Patreon stuff. I've been in religious groups my whole life. I've been to hundreds of churches. I've interacted with thousands and thousands and thousands. And I mean, I don't know, maybe I just got lucky, but I was never even close to being floated that idea. Like that was just so funny. I don't know. Anyways, the video was great. That interaction with that dude was like hilarious, but then also kind of lame. Disappointing. Yeah. But that's it, right? Like there's no interaction with them that isn't.
See, and that what one of my mods, the Overskill, just said earlier was actually the greatest metaphor ever. He basically said it's like when you're playing Pokemon the first time, and you had that first Pokemon encounter outside of Pallet Town. You're like, oh, my fucking adventure has begun. And then the next 75 times you play it, it's just annoying. Yeah. And you wish it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Get in the way. You're like, oh,
come on.
God.
Yeah.
So the only last thing that I want to talk about there is that I split everything up into 50 parts.
Oh yeah, for the TikTok?
Uploading them to TikTok, and it's been the most miserable experience of my entire fucking life.
Have some of them got hit? Like struck down or whatever?
I think 6 of them around that at this point, including the one I uploaded today, because so they're like content guidelines for being the cesspool that TikTok is, the utter cesspool. They have the most fucking Bogota rules.
It's crazy
ever. So all of the videos except for one, the one today was a special case. They all got removed, as far as I can tell, only because one of the guys talking in the video is on InfoWars, which is Alex Jones's kind of crazy platform. Now he was the one arguing against
he was the same
he was
one
the reasonable
in
one.
that conversation.
He never said anything crazy, whatever. It's literally just, you see InfoWars' little spinning logo. That's it. As far as I can tell, that got it removed for perpetuating violent, hateful conduct.
Yeah.
And then the one today is when I start to get into the connections to anti-Semitism and conspiratorial beliefs, which of course I have some quotes from Hitler and and a few, but even that, it's like purely educational and it is in no way promoting or perpetuating.
No, exactly. It serves the purpose to outline how these people's beliefs align with that, to show how egregious it is, right? It is.
I appealed it and it got rejected, just like all the other ones. So, and then the other crazy thing that doesn't make any sense to me is at first I was uploading 5 at a time. And now I've just gone to doing 1 at a time, and it's still the same result. I'll upload 1, and it'll get all the way up to, and this is kind of actually funny, and this is where the flat earthers would actually go crazy, like 666 or 667 or 660. It's literally 660 or 70 views, and then it just stops.
That's so weird.
And then the next one I upload, and it's got like Bill Nye on the front, or like a rocket on the front, or like a NASA like astronaut walking on the moon, and it'll get 1 view or 0 views. And then the next day I'll upload it and it'll get 659. And then the next day I upload it and it gets 0 views. And the next day it gets 6 views. The next day it gets 659. So I literally only have 0 view videos and 600 view videos.
What?
It doesn't make any sense, dude. The whole thing has been a complete and utter fucking nightmare.
Sorry, I told you to do it. I don't know, man.
It's obviously not your fault.
No, I know.
It was a good idea, but I just don't understand.
Dude, that's freaking... I don't even look at mine anymore. Something happened to mine, too. And, I don't know. It just, like... My videos just, like, died. Oh, I guess they're picking back up. I don't know. The whole thing is so random, dude. It's so weird. It was like I was on such a heater with TikTok, and then I started posting Gray Zone clips, and they went down to like 30 views. And for like 6 weeks, even after I was posting Tarkov again, it's just like, I don't know. Their algorithm is crazy. It's like the thing with them is there's so much potential upside. Like virality on that platform is so cheap and goes so viral that it's like worth investing in. But it's such a black box and a cesspool, and there's just like, there is no learning. You know what I mean? There is no figuring it out. You're just at the mercy of whatever. Yeah, that's
so I
weird.
just sent you the views. So if you look at the views, 666,
yeah,
653, 667, 675, 638, 523, 11, 13. Then it's 13, 25, 695, community guidelines violation, 6, 10, 657, 624, 5, 13,
That's
9,
so
community
weird.
guidelines violation, 7, 7, 673. I don't...
Dude, I don't know. Have you been posting them as shorts as well? Oh, they're 10 minutes long.
Yeah, no, I haven't done anything with shorts, haven't done anything with Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm considering...
Ooh, you should do Instagram.
Do
they do 10
have
minutes?
10 minute?
I don't know. I definitely know they have longer than YouTube. YouTube is 60 seconds still, which is
60
depressing.
minutes
Ooh.
On Instagram, it looks like. Instagram TV, 15 or 60 minutes, 1 hour Instagram low. That's live video.
Yeah,
but
that might be worth it. Shorts will be so sick, but the having to redo them all as 1 minute is just like honestly not even worth it, because so many times you wouldn't even be able to get through a single point in 1 minute. It's just, I wish shorts allowed you to go up to 5 minutes, 10 minutes, like a lot of these other platforms are letting you.
I mean, the thing is that the other platforms are only shorts, basically.
For sure.
So it doesn't make sense. Like, what would be a 10-minute short? Why would that be different than a 10-minute video on YouTube?
But who cares? From YouTube's perspective, if you're in the shorts category, you don't want long stuff, is the thing. That's not true, though. Like, you know what I mean? That's what's crazy about it. But on YouTube, it might be. On YouTube, it might be. But I feel like from YouTube's perspective, all they legitimately care about is keeping people on the platform. And, like, the reason you want a video to go viral on TikTok is because you want them to come over and watch your YouTube video, right? Like, that's the point. This is one of those times where you don't ask the customer what they want. You see what they do, and then you fill that void. Yeah. I go on TikTok because I want short form content. And then I blink and I've watched 8 10-minute parts of a Veritasium video. Yeah. Right? My habit, what I actually do, might be different than what I say I would want. And over again, these short form platforms are finding that people just get, when they get hooked into a story, and YouTube has a feature where you can link a video to a short. So putting the 10-minute thing in the shorts feed, getting to the end of that 10-minute video and just having to click a button and you're taken to the timestamp of where that ends, I feel like would go crazy. And it would, from a YouTube perspective, I feel like it would just keep people on the platform, which is presumably what they want. You're not wrong. I just think that it's one of those things that this is like an idea that they probably never even considered, because like from a feature standpoint, it doesn't make sense, because everybody would be asking the question,
what is a 10-minute short when there are 6-minute videos?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, so even if they would have to like rebrand it as like, it wouldn't be a short. It would need to be something else, like a snippet or something.
Dude, I think it would be so sick. I'd release every single one of my highlight videos in full vertical as well. They really should do that. That's crazy. I'm blown away that they don't.
Yeah.
A not so short. Anyways, before we move on, I do want to take a quick second and thank the first sponsor of this episode, and that is MeUndies. Underwear drawers are like the wild west of wardrobes. There's no rhyme or reason. Anything goes. You got pairs from 3 birthdays and 2 Christmases ago, 5 different brands, 5 different fits. That is my life to a T. MeUndies has all sorts of, obviously, underwear and all sorts of different clothes that are unbelievably comfortable, unbelievably well made, and literally they sent us a pair for this, and I want to replace every single pair of underwear I have with MeUndies. They're incredibly comfortable.
Yeah, I'm rocking the lightsabers today.
The lightsabers.
There was a period where they had a whole bunch of Star Wars stuff. So I've got like some Ewoks,
classic
lightsabers. Yeah. Yesterday I was rocking the like little arcade machines that always remind me of Billy Mitchell.
Nice.
But I've been as I've talked about before, I've been a massive fan of MeUndies ever since.
Yeah.
Ever since I had actually one of the guys that used to work there. I don't know if he's one of the founders. I forget, but he like took me on a tour of their facility. I got to meet like a bunch of the artists. It's such an incredible culture they had there. All the people that were working on the designs, I was so impressed with their like setups and everything they had. And
that's cool.
They just are always coming out with awesome, cool designs.
Yep.
And the quality. I mean, like,
yeah,
I've had every single thing from Fruit of the Loom to Under Armour, like all of this stuff, right? And these are the only ones that not once have I ended up with any holes, anything like that. And it's been years.
That was what was crazy, is that like I didn't know underwear could be made this well, because I literally spent my whole life just buying like whatever was cheapest. So
and be comfortable, and be stylish,
mad comfortable. Yeah, so. They've got all sorts of stuff from classics to fun, expressive prints. It's not just about underwear. They have the lounge collection. They've got comfy joggers, hoodies, onesies, and more. Their signature fabric is soft and warm. It's breathable, sustainably sourced materials. It's everything, the whole package. You can get 20% off your first order plus free shipping if you go to MeUndies.com/pogcast. That is MeUndies.com/pogcast. for 20% off plus free shipping. MeUndies, comfort from the outside in. Bada bang. So,
what's going on in on your neck of the woods?
Oh yeah, no, not a whole lot actually. Not a whole lot. We all the events ended, all of the stuff ended, and we're just kind of chilling. Doing the Tarkov thing. It's so funny because the events are always such a roller coaster. Everybody gets super excited because there's an event, and then something kind of like ruins the event. You know, like it was like 2 weeks ago I expressed that I was like, man, this would be so fun, but the AI is just like woof. So then I get to a point where I'm like kind of ready for the event to be over, and then it ends. And then Tarkov just seems boring because there's like nothing to do. Obviously, if you're like still questing, or if you're level 28 and you're like still on your grind, then you're probably happy the event ended because it was annoying. You couldn't go to Shoreline or whatever. But it's like, so what I'm saying is I recognize even in myself, I'm like, I want an event. And then the event comes and I'm like, oh, go away. And then it goes away and I'm like, we need events. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, so we've just kind of been chilling. The armor rework has really been like, I think that happened like the day or the day before the podcast last time. So I didn't get a whole lot of time to play with it.
It seems like the reaction I've seen is like entirely bipolar.
Yeah. Well,
which is what I would have expected.
Yeah.
Honestly.
No.
It seems like people are either like, everything is great since they made this change, and some people are like, everything sucks.
Yeah. I think most people, I would say only like 5 to 10% of the people I've interacted with truly don't like it. Or like, I liked it better the other way. Now, of the other 90%, it's pretty split where you have some people that are like, this is the best ever. And some people are like, we needed this, but this is an overcorrection. You know what I mean? Like we need to come back a little bit. And I am yet to be convinced it's an overcorrection. I actually really like it, but I can understand it because kind of like what we talked about last week, now the hit, like they almost ended up back where they started. That's kind of what we talked about. Where now chest armor, just like your front plate, does kind of wrap, like it covers your armpit, it covers the shoulder, it covers up to the neck. So it's almost, as far as like in terms of where you get shot and if an armor tanks that or not, that is basically like old armor. We're almost back there.
You've lost the X% chance to like kill someone with buckshot when they're wearing armor through the armpit.
Correct.
That kind of thing.
Correct.
Okay.
It technically, I think, is still possible to hit the armpit, but it's much harder now. But what I'm saying is we've almost arrived back there. Actually, you know what's funny? I hadn't even put this together yet. You know where we are in terms of time to kill? OG being able to wear an armored vest and an armor. Because now that the hitboxes cover almost that same amount, now I'm running around with a CPC Mod 1 rig that I've replaced Class 6 plates, and the Aramid underneath it is Class 3 armor.
Yeah, before it was Class 5 and 6 stack.
Yes, which was a little intense, but... So, you know what I mean? We've, in terms of that, once again, as we said last week, we've still retained 90% of the new armor system. Customizable plates, individualized hitboxes, replaceable plates, all that kind of stuff. The soft armor underneath. But in terms of that, it has been a noticeable, a noticeable time to kill different. And it's funny, I was going through the clips that my brother does for the podcast for TikTok, and one of them was where I was talking about how like I think we've gotten used to accidentally killing people, and I still stand by that, like very much so myself. I'm still having these clips where I'm shooting a guy, I shoot him 8 times, I yell, I'm like, oh my god, how is that guy not dead? Then I watch the clip back and I'm like, oh yeah, it was leg, arm, stomach, thorax, miss, thorax. And previously, one of those would have clipped him in the armpit or the throat and he would have died. So it feels like the TTK is crazy. Now, I have also seen some clips of the TTK being wild. I don't care to do like proper testing, but it wouldn't surprise me if some of the colliders maybe overlap, where like the side plate and the front plate, because they're kind of wrapping them. So maybe there's a few spots where it's like Class 5 armor, Class 6 armor, and then the Aramid. Maybe that would explain some of the stuff. But I'm honestly thoroughly enjoying... let me put it this way. For every clip where for every experience I've had where I'm genuinely mad that like that guy should have died and he didn't, I feel like I have 5 or 6 of me going, holy cow, like armor works. Like it not, and I don't even mean I always live. There have been, I can show you clips. There have been tons of fights where I die and everyone in chat's like, yo, that fight was crazy. So many shots going back and forth. My armor tanked a bunch. I was almost able to spin and react to him, but I just missed the flick. So I'm enjoying it personally.
Hell yeah, dude. I mean, it sounds... I always thought that, like, if you could swing the pendulum either direction, either way on the spectrum, a higher time to kill within reason is more skill-based and more fun. Again, within reason. Yeah,
within reason.
More fun because it's literally just the average time of people in combat goes up, and combat is fun. That's the reason why we play, is combat is fun. You know, like getting in a fight, almost dying, running away, healing, yelling at them, throwing grenades, telling your teammates where they're at, getting in a fight, killing one guy. You know, like those long long engagements are the best.
And I think that that's been tainted a little bit. I haven't put a lot of thought into this, so just bear with me. I think between the AI being so overtuned and the time to kill being really short, and the economy being so broken that people that play more than you just like so often just straight up have an advantage. They just have unlimited money or unlimited ammo or unlimited good gear. I think that has slowly shifted. That I think subconsciously a large, maybe even including myself, got to the point where combat was not fun.
Yeah.
It was like, it's why we all got into the game, but it was just beaten down. Like, you know what I mean? Engaging in combat is where all of the problems start. I can't hear the guy. He's invisible. He's behind the wall. I got one-tapped and AI one-tapped me. The boss didn't die. He took, like, all of these are all centered around combat that I think, once again, I am not trying to put words in people's mouth, and I'm not saying, and I'm not trying to say if you don't like the armor change, it's because you've been, you know, brainwashed or Stockholm syndromed or whatever. But I do think on some level, combat has become one of the least fun parts of the game. And so some of these adjustments, ball washed. Some of these adjustments can be a shock to the system because now it's like, oh, that guy tanked so many shots. But it's like, you also tanked a lot of shots. You know what I mean? And once again, even if I'm dying, I don't mind. I mind so much less when I die. Like, I have always said this. I want to die because I messed up. You know what I mean? Yep. So when you're just like running, fall over dead. That's not fun. But if I'm running, the guy camping in the bush, hit, I jump, I flick just off to the left of his head, I shoot 3 bullets, and then I die, I go, oh, I almost had him. You know what I mean? At least I still died. That guy still had the tactical advantage. He still had his shots, but like, that feels better to me. Now, I would be totally fine with them reining it in a little bit. Like the people who think it's overtuned, I would be perfectly fine with some micro adjustments now. But here's the thing is when people say it's overtuned, when people say maybe we swung the pendulum too far the other way, I almost want to agree with them so that we can guide the conversation on, so what should we do to fix it? Because if we don't define what we should do to fix it, this is what BSG is going to hear. Oh, it's too much? Let's just pull it back. And if they pull it back by just shrinking the hitboxes down again and exposing the armpit hitbox, even if it is like bigger than it was originally but smaller than it was now, then the problem of falling over dead instantly is just going to return.
Yeah.
So if it's overtuned, let's communicate to BSG how we could tune it, because I don't think they should mess with the sizes of the hitboxes. What I think we should do is take a look at the availability of class 6 plates, because if imagine a world where they changed the armor, the hitboxes are what they are right now, but there's an event where there is no armor in the game, even in your stash, it's still there, but you can't use it except class 3 armor. Nobody would be like, they're tanking, right?
Yeah.
So it's when we say, well, this might be an overcorrection, it's because we all have class 5 and 6 armors everywhere in our stash, and I can buy 11 of them per trader reset, right?
Yep.
So if it's overtuned, where should we look to tune it? Because I don't want them to just shrink the hitboxes back down.
Yeah, I mean, I think what the important thing would be is I would want, like, if I was Nikita, I would want, give me 10 of the most egregious clips of what you think is the problem.
Yeah.
And I would want to look at them and say, what was the situation here?
Yeah.
Were you using hollow points or blue tips against class 6 armor? Or were you using 32 pen against class 5 or class 6?
Yeah.
Or did you whiff all your shots? Or
For
was
sure.
it desync?
For sure.
Or was it all arm, leg, arm, stomach, arm, chest, arm?
Yeah.
Because then you actually get an idea for, okay, we acknowledge there's a problem, but what is the problem?
Exactly.
Is it the armor? Is it the health system? Is it the bullets? Is it the availability of the things in the economy? Is it aiming? Right? Maybe it's all has to do with there's no arm. Let's say they took arm stamina and made it 1% of what it was. So you aim and then so then you couldn't hit your shots.
Yeah.
There's a million angles here.
For sure. You're not wrong.
There's a million dials. And so what you were talking about is don't tell them they changed this knob and things don't feel perfect. You don't want them to go, okay.
Exactly.
And then it's like,
yeah, don't turn that knob. Leave that one alone. Let's look at some of the other ones. Because I hadn't thought about this. This is all anecdotal. It's all just like from my experience, but I hadn't thought about this before. I really think that this wipe in point 14, I don't remember what patch we're now, when they made the armor change in December, I think at level 4 traders, we have more access to class 5 and 6 armors than we have had in the past. Maybe I could be wrong about that, but here's the reason I think that. I have been such a TV 110 Andy. Like, I'll be 6 months into a wipe, 100 million rubles, and I'm still using class 4 TV 110s all the time. And people are always asking me, why am I using TV 110s? Why are you using why troopers? I also use troopers all the time. And I wouldn't even think about using class 4 armor right now. Class 5 is so available. It's so available. And I think it's because it makes sense, right? Because all of the class 5 armors, those barters, they're like for years now, there's been a barter for the Thor armor, which is the big class 6, the samurai armor, the Gen 4s. There's been the barter for the Defender, for the Redut. All these the Korund, they're still there. But in addition to that, at the higher level traders, they added class 5 plates.
Yeah.
And a few class 6 plate barters. So now all of the original class 5 armor purchases are there. All of the class 5 armor barters are there. They added, I think, crafts they added crafts for class 5 armors, and they added the plates. So I think the availability of class 5 has gone up. And now you have the ability to, any armor can be class 5 or 6. Because you can find a class 5 or 6 plate in a box and just put it in your Korund, your Karasa. And the plates are not that hard to find. They're like all over, especially in like Kiba, and you can find them all over. You can take them out of like boss. You fight Reshala or a Gluhar, and you wouldn't be able to take 5 Korunds out of a raid. Your backpack wouldn't be too big, but you can take the class 5 plates out of all 5 and take those out of the raid. So the new armor came. It increased the availability of class 5 and 6 armor. That was overshadowed by the fact that with that armor change came armpit and throat hitboxes that made armor feel useless, so we didn't perceive the increase in quantity of class 5 and 6 armor. Mm-hmm. Now those hitboxes no longer exist, and because we were so focused on that, we can't see that class 5 and 6 armors have increased. We're just running stuff in our stash, and we're going. You know what I mean?
God, dude, it's so. There's almost no chance that this is the case, but like, you would think by now. How do I put this? I feel like the community would be much happier, probably much healthier, if like the things we're talking about, or if we believed that, and you'll have to correct me if again, I'm out of touch here, so but this goes back when I was still playing. if the community believed that this mindset, like that someone at BSG held this mindset of it has a complicated problem that we have to look at a bunch of different ways. We're trying to tackle this in an intelligent way. Like,
yeah,
I think like your language earlier kind of portrayed what I remember, which is we just assume that they're going to do the wrong thing. If we tell them the truth, they're going to do the wrong thing.
Yeah.
So, it's like letting flat earthers do science experiments. They're going to come to the wrong conclusion because they're going to do it wrong. So you got,
yeah, it's hard because I don't like being that jaded. You say that, you're not wrong. That is my assumption. That is my thought right now, that I and I don't even mean to be offensive. Like we've talked to a lot of these guys. We know a lot of these guys. They're awesome dudes, but just history has shown me that if we all just say, armor might be a little too powerful now, I don't know that they would come to that conclusion, that they would consider things like, well, how easy to get is high level ammo? How easy to get is high level armor? How many plates are out there? The introduction of the plate system while maintaining the same amount of high level armor barters and purchases, while flooding the economy with class 5 and 6 plates that can fit just about any armor while maintaining the same amount of armor spawns and barters. That has to mean that a higher amount of class 5 and 6 plates are in the economy. Maybe that should be dialed down because maybe that's skewing this perception of how tanky people are. And I don't know that they are going to go through that whole rigmarole, especially since that it seems like they've been really slow to like change what's available at the traders. They've done it a few times with some ammos, but like every wipe, we have more guns available to us, more suppressors available to us, more scopes available to us, more like the power creep in the traders. We've talked about this many times before. Just keeps growing, and they've seemingly been really slow to address that. They haven't really balanced that much. And so the more I talk about it, the more I think that's the issue. So it makes me worried that they'll see that.
Think about how different these conversations would go if literally one time in the last decade they communicated in the way that like that one patch note tweet or whatever from what was like the League of Legends devs,
yeah,
where they were like, hey, we made these tweaks, we know that this is what your experience is, and we know that that there's challenges dealing with the UI and blah 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 blah, so we want to know when we make these particular specific tweaks, do you feel this way,
when we make these tweaks, we are hoping this will happen. Let us know if it does or if something else happens.
And that's them basically openly acknowledging we are in touch with the game and the community.
Yeah.
And we like have a particular mindset around trying to problem solve to give you a particular experience.
Yeah.
And I just kind of can't, I don't know that I'll ever get past I just assume they go, ooh, problem, hit with hammer, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and that's what produces this this concept of like they need to stop listening to streamers, because like they do, right? Like that is it's streamers have bad takes all the time. I have bad takes all the time. Sometimes my takes are bad. Sometimes my takes are good, right? Any one of us could probably admit that sometimes we nail it and sometimes we don't. But if there's no communication, you know what I mean? It's so funny because people are like, I can't believe they listen to Pestily. Have you seen this Gigabeef video? And it's like, he's a streamer too. I get that, you know, Pestily's big and the Mosin and whatever. And Gigabeef literally produces some of the literal best content on YouTube currently today about this kind of stuff. Literal. So it's not a knock on that, but I'm saying it's like, there's this whole stop listening to the streamers, but so often like you should stop listening to the streamers because you're not including something I learned from the streamers. And that is all happening because we are in an information vacuum. where we don't know what the change is for. We don't know what the expected outcome is. We don't know what feedback they're looking for. And so streamers, because this is what we do, right? We either get asked a million times that we end up kind of in a take, like I've just been asked about the armor so many times that I've kind of settled into like, well, this is how I feel about it. Or the streamers go out and then do some testing. They provide that information. And so once again, it's like, hear what I'm saying here. They should stop listening to streamers. But the best way for them to do that is fill the information gap and then create ways to gather feedback from the community. Then the streamers don't have to fill the information gap with the videos or whatever they do. If they say, we're making this change, we want this to happen, and then let us know. And then, Nikita said polls are coming into the game, and then they put a poll in. Yeah, I might make a video, Gigabeef might make a video, Tiggs might make a video. But if my video is the armor change is perfect, and in the in-game poll, 200,000 people voted and 98% of them say it sucks, he would be much less inclined to listen to me. So like, I agree with the whole, they should stop listening to streamers, but they shouldn't stop listening to streamers, period. Because then nobody would nobody would reverse engineer this stuff. They should stop listening to streamers and they should provide the information,
See, the thing is that once again, if we trusted BSG to make good decisions, we wouldn't have to tell them don't listen to streamers. The only reason why we say that is because like streamers that are in touch exist, but they are in a massive minority.
Yeah. And
part of the problem, like no shade, but part of the problem is that lots of Tarkov streamers, and it's not even Tarkov, it's just all streamers in general, right? Content creators, they're just like people, which is kind of like just like what the devs are, is that they have the same mindset that the developers have in terms of not approaching these solutions from like an elegant game design way. So when you have simple-minded solutions from streamers and developers who have simple-minded solutions to problems that they look at with, through the lens of they're going to be much less nuanced and complex than they actually are, that's when you end up with a whole bunch of bad solutions.
You end up with what we have now, which is a coin flip. Sometimes they listen to a streamer and everybody goes, Veritas, your recoil video, you saved the day, man. And then sometimes they listen to a streamer and everybody goes, Pestily just ruined I can't believe they whatever. It's not wholly one way or the other.
Sometimes they listen and implement the wrong solution to the real problem, and then that person gets blamed when that's not what they were advocating for.
So it's a whole thing. But going back to the armor, I think like we talked about this a lot in the beginning where people were asking, and it's like, this is, we can't forget that this is the natural process. We have so much like baked in negativity towards BSG. Sometimes that clouds our judgment. We have a lot of baked in negativity for streamers. Sometimes that clouds our judgment. We have a lot of baked in negativity towards no-lifers, and a lot of the no-lifers have a baked in negativity towards the rats and the casuals. And a lot of times that clouds our judgment. Like Nikita saying that they were willing to look at the armor and redo it. My expectation was not after a single change, it would be perfect. So me celebrating like it was better and I celebrated. I'm not going back on that. Last week you said it was great, dude. I was excited that they made a change that was a positive step. And I was swept up in the honeymoon phase of this feels so much better. But my expectation was not that one change could even fix all these problems, because there's 11 problems. They're all interconnected. We made headway. And now that we have more time with it, we're going, oh, maybe we should now do this. And so, you get, from all different sides. People like streamers, they won't stop complaining. Some people are like, man, you can't make anyone in Tarkov happy. They're always going to complain about something. And all of these things kind of have a kernel of truth to them, but because they're not inherently bad. Like the people that are like, well, Tarkov players are never happy are the same people that when I complain about something, well, it's an alpha, bro. It's like you can't have it both ways, or it's a beta, bro. If it's a beta, the point is that it gets better. And so I think the armor change was a huge W. I think it made headway, but I think now we should look at some other things to make more headway. You know what I mean? So I think
you can insert anything in the variable of armor equals X. X can be anything.
Yeah, for sure.
And that will always be like, the whole streamers are always complaining. All Veritas does is complain. All Jesse does is complain. I challenge anyone of you clowns out there to talk for 2 hours about a game every single week and never have a complaint or a constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Good fucking luck. Otherwise, it's just, hey guys, you want to hear about my story time of my raids this week?
Well, then you're called fake. It's fake positivity. You know what I mean? You're a character. Anyways,
I don't know.
I say all that to say, we should just be reminded of the fact that I actually think deep down, none of us thought that any one fix could like fix perfect. Like we don't have to worry about armor anymore, BSG. Like you did it, you nailed it. And so if we all think that, if we all think, okay, well, there's no solution that's going to make it perfect, then we should all embrace just this like momentum-based feedback where it's like, I think the armor is phenomenal. Right now, I think we have the best of both worlds. I think we have the best of the old system. We have the best of the new system. There are genuine cool gameplay implications and mechanics that I can do now that make me feel immersed, that make the game more fun. Like, I think it's great. But maybe we should take a look at how available some of the armors are. You know what I mean? Like, there's like a crazy so the like mod CPC2, whatever, it's a rig, it's huge, it's got 2 1x3s, so you can hold like 40 round mags. It's got a bunch of 1x2s, so you can hold regular mags. It's got 1 2x2, so you can put a helmet in, and a few 1 slots. It's like huge, it's got tons of space. It's got tons of coverage. It covers stomach, sides, thorax, back, and it's got class 3 aramid. So it's got the best soft armor underneath. It's really light. It has a very minimal ergo penalty. So it's just like on paper, it might be by 3 or 4%, like just the best armor in the game. I can craft it every 3 hours, and it's a crazy thing. So you need a certain plate. The recipe for the craft is a certain type of armor plate that is hard to find. But if you find one of these plates, when you craft that CPC armor, that armor has 2 plates, 2 of that in it. So you take one out and craft another one with it. So it's like an infinite plate thing.
Is that like intentional?
Here's the thing. So you take one out and you craft another one with it. Well, now you have one of the best armors in the game missing a plate. Well, at level 4 Ragman, there's a barter for the Tasmanian rig, which is a class 6 armored rig that is bad. It's got like no aramid. It only has like 4 1x2s. It's like bad, but it's class 6 armor. I can buy.
You just barter, and then sell the thing.
I can buy everything I need for that barter for 160,000 rubles. I barter for that. I take the 2 class 6 plates out. I sell the rig back to Ragman for 80,000 rubles. So every 3 hours, I can craft the best armor in the game, barter for 2 class 6 plates for super low, take one of these armor plates out of the one I crafted, replace it with a better armor plate because it's class 6 now.
Do you take out both plates or just one?
You can either. You can take out the front and the back and replace them both with class 6, or you can just take out the front. So every 3 hours, I can have the best armor in the game and replace it with class 6 plates. So that's what I'm talking about. It's like, let's just take a look at that. Like, the armor is great now, but maybe I shouldn't be able to have an infinite amount of the best armor in the game. Like, maybe that might be a controversial take, but maybe I shouldn't have unlimited the best armor in the game. You know what I mean? Because it's now at that point, I've got class 6 plates. It's almost like a Zabralo or a Thor armor, but it's lighter and with a much less ergo penalty, but it covers almost the same amount.
And the sad part is that, like, it's probably just like objectively better for the game, right? When there's like lots of scarcity and like it ends up with this much more interesting, dynamic, like organic experience. But also at the same time, there's something to be said about like developing a kind of like system where it's kind of like when you play a game like Diablo, how you're like, I'm just going to go grind this thing over and over and over again. And some people are over having to worry about gear and whatever. They just want to raid. So sometimes, like, if they got rid of that, you're like, ugh, you know?
You
want to get rid of it. But at the same time, there's going to be a lot of people who are like, I actually liked just being on autopilot not having to spend 20 minutes in my stash figuring out what I'm going to, you know? So, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's lose-lose.
It is. So once again, I am not sitting here saying that like I know the answers. I figured it out and I can't believe BSG doesn't just listen to me. Not at all. All I'm saying is that I think they did a good and meaningful job with the armor change. I think so much of it is in an amazing spot. I can see where people are coming from saying some things need work, and I just hope that they take the time to look at everything before we make an adjustment from here. Let's look at how available some of the ammo is. Let's look at how available some of the armor is. Let's change something, like, because that would be sick, right? If they made a change where they were like, hey, we reduced the amount of high-level plates that are purchasable, but kept them spawning in raids. We are, messing with the availability. This is what we're looking for. Let us know what you think. Like, oh my God, just as a follow-up to the armor change, that would be incredible. Or we changed some ammos. Let us know what you think. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I'm not saying I have all the answers. I just hope that they look in more than the one place. They turn this dial up. I hope that they just don't keep messing with this one dial. There's a lot to it. Anyways, yeah. So there's some other like arena stuff that I want to talk about. But before we do, I do want to take a quick second and thank the second sponsor of the channel today, and that is Athletic Greens and AG1. I personally started drinking AG1 like a year ago before we started working with them, and it's awesome. It is a great way to kind of like conglomerate and push everything together. All this individual stuff I was taking, I just kind of felt like my diet had really reduced down to just Hot Pockets, and if I didn't have, Factor or something else.
Whoa.
Yeah, listen, Hot Pockets are great, but I just felt like completely changing my diet is something that's hard to do, and especially if I want to do something with longevity, it's like, okay, that's a lot. And so I kind of fell down the rabbit hole of like, oh, I need this supplement and this, that, and the other. And I feel like that pendulum swung too far. And so Athletic Greens was just like a great one scoop in the morning. It's got tons of stuff that my body needs. And it was really cool being able to talk with the Athletic Greens people that they're like, we don't even want to be marketed as a magic pill. Drink this and you're healthy. We want to be marketed as a stepping stone, as something to aid, as something to help in your journey of trying to feel better and trying to get what you need. So I was like, I align with that because I really hate that kind of stuff. That's like, are you fat and lazy? All you need to do is drink this and you're done. So AG1 was something that I hopped on and genuinely started feeling better. A lot of like my gut stuff started to feel better, and it as a stepping stone has been great. So it supports healthy aging. All of their ingredients are sourced really well, and you can, and so yeah, simple, easy to use, and I personally really like it. So you can, if you want to take ownership of your health, it starts with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/podcast. That is drinkag1.com/podcast. Thank you so much to Athletic Greens for sponsoring this episode. Okay, so, dude, I keep popping back into Arena, like trying to fall in love with it, man, because there really is like like, I mean, I guess what I said last week is kind of basically what I predicted last week or 2 weeks ago is how I feel now, which is I wish they had done it the other way. They gave me compelling reasons to play Arena.
Oh, yeah.
Before they made adjustments to Arena to make it more fun. Now, I always want to preface any Arena conversation with, if you're having fun playing Arena, that's good, right?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I'm not saying there is no fun to be had playing Arena. Still to this day, when people ask me if they should buy Arena, I'm like, dude, that's on you. Don't put that on me. Watch some gameplay. If you think it looks fun, I can't stick around for more than a single game. But what they have done is created compelling reasons to play. Like, I have dailies. There are quests related to Tarkov. I genuinely wanted to try and get one of the like loot box things. There's the Lega medals or whatever. Unlocking Ref.
Yeah.
Ref actually has some really cool barters at like level 3 and level 4 Ref. There are compelling reasons to play. I find myself logging onto Tarkov and being like, I want to play Arena. But I haven't made it more than one game. Since they merged, and every time I've swapped over, I've never made it more than one game of Arena before I hop back. And so
oof.
So it's just like I see the potential there. Because there are a lot of compelling things to do, but a lot of feedback I've heard is that the dailies sometimes are just a little weird or nearly impossible to do or out of your control. You know, it's hard when it's like win 5. Oh no, it like there sometimes I'm trying to think there are some where it's like win 3 rounds without getting eliminated. And so that weirdly incentivizes you to like, if you're on 2 of 3, if you've been working on this daily and you're on 2 of 3, you're going to want to hide. So some of them are kind of either worded in a way or described in a way where it's like, you kind of then are incentivizing them to like not engage with the team and do the thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or it's just something that seems so out of your control. Like, you know what I mean? You know, win these matches, just like win 8 in a row. And if you're solo, it's like, how can you?
Good luck.
Good luck. How can you know what I mean? And maybe the argument is get a team. I don't know. So there are a few things like that. The other thing I noticed was, I'm in a super weird spot, and I've been trying to tell people that where, I'm in a weird spot where Arena wiped, and I believe the last time they wiped was when they introduced the like tiers. Remember the tier preset? Like you need tier 1s and then you need 5 tier 2s before you can go tier 2.
I played for like 3 days, and that was the last time
you need 5 tier 3s before you can play tier 3s. So that was when the wipe happened, and I grinded for like 2 weeks. And during that grind, I upped my ARP to like 2,500. But what they ended up doing after I left was one of the changes that they made was they got rid of all tier 1 kits. Now all that exists when you launch the game is tier 2 kits and tier 3 kits. And since I stopped playing after that point, me coming back, here's what's happened. I have only the base tier 2 kits available because all of the grinding I did was I was grinding through the tier 1 kits to get to tier 2, and then they got rid of tier 1, effectively resetting my XP progression, right?
Yep.
But I'm in high ARP lobbies because I'm 2,500 ARP.
Lol.
So when I queue up...
Wait, isn't that what you start with? No, that's 1,500.
Yeah. So now when I queue up, I'm in high tier lobbies with base kits unlocked. Like, because now what are effectively the base kits now are all the first tier 2 kits, but that's all I have unlocked in anything. Playing against people that have unlocked through all of the tier 2 kits because I'm high ARP. So I've actually been being like, I actually don't want to come down on Arena too hard because I get why they made that decision, and maybe that was a good decision. I'm just in like this really weird spot where
you can't reset.
I can't reset because it's linked to Tarkov.
Oh my god, that's even fucking worse.
Yeah, I actually thought about that. I was like, I would actually like to reset my ARP and just regrind the presets because like I effectively put like 300,000 XP worth of grind in, and then all of that was deleted. But I put 1,000 ARP worth of grind in, but that stayed. So now I'm in this like weird spot. And so then I hop back in, and it was like the other day, all of my dailies were like to do stuff using any marksman kit. It was like be top fragger using a marksman kit, win 3 rounds using a marksman kit, and like play, 5, team fights. And I was like, oh, okay. But all I have are the base marksman kits because I never grinded anything. And it was just like a horrible experience. You know what I mean? And so that's another circle of it where because of how grindy the kit system is, like if I want to get to tier 3 lobbies, I have to grind 5 tier 3 kits, correct? And the best way to grind tier 3 kits is basically pick 5 and go straight down to them.
Yeah.
But if I'm halfway down my CQB kit and all my dailies are to use a marksman kit, now I'm deciding between accomplishing a daily or continuing my grind. Now I can re-roll the dailies and hope to just re-roll them until I get a CQB kit, but that gets fairly expensive. And so then your goals... Now, once again, in a world where I already have all my tier 3 kits unlocked, these dailies would be like such a welcome change, because then when it says use a marksman kit, I have 15 marksman kits to choose from. I can choose my 5 tier 2s or my 5 tier 3s, and that would, would be fun. But where I am at the beginning is like, I don't have any kits unlocked. It's going to be nearly impossible to grind to better kits because of how much time it takes to do that and how the dailies are constantly asking me to do different things. And then people were like, oh, well, then skip the dailies. Like, don't worry about your dailies and just grind your kits. But I was like, no. That's why I'm here. I closed Escape from Tarkov and opened Arena because I want to get the dailies done, because the dailies are the only way to get the Lega coins. The dailies are the only way to get the loot crates. The dailies are the only way to get the GP coins. The dailies are the only way to get the rep. So you're not wrong in the sense that what I should do is not worry about the dailies yet and grind out my kits, but I don't want to pour 200 hours into Arena grinding kits to then start working on my dailies, to then start getting these Lega medals, to then unlock a room in Tarkov. It's like, I want to be able to work towards this now, or I'm not going to want to work towards it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like I said at the beginning, they actually created some compelling reasons to play Arena, but Arena feels like it's constantly fighting me in getting to those goals. You know what I mean?
I mean, if that doesn't sound like stereotypical Tarkov, they got almost there.
Yeah.
Like, they did a good thing while also making some other thing infuriating.
Yeah. Now, hopefully, they have all the ingredients to potentially really start to turn Arena around. My argument is I think they added those ingredients in the wrong order, right? So, I'm trying to figure out how I want to word this. They're not like they've already told us the 3 things they want to do. One was merge Tarkov and Arena, one was add the new asymmetrical game mode, and one was completely redesign the preset system. So I don't want to, what I'm trying to do is not be overly negative and overly downplay them. I don't think that they're like, oh, well, we're going to change course because here's what I'm trying to say is I don't want it to seem like they did the Arena merge and then they were like, oh, nobody still wants to play our game. I guess we'll change up the kits. They knew they wanted to do this all beforehand. It's just, I think they're doing it maybe out of order. So maybe 2 months from now, 3 months from now, when we've got more game modes to choose from And when I have more power over what kit I'm using, maybe this whole thing changes. And maybe it's like, oh, I'm having a blast. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Maybe with a wipe, like.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I think a wipe and allowing me to reset my progress in arena, and with the new preset system, because like I said, I don't mind being forced to use terrible gear in arena. I would just like a little bit of agency over what type of terrible gear. You know what I mean? I would genuinely choose no headphones over GSSHs, right? I would genuinely choose iron sights over some of these optics. So let me set that up instead of making me take the optic off and throw the GSSHs on the floor every round, you know? So, Mike, I try not to beat the dead horse too much. I try not to just like shit on arena. I still see the potential. I still have hope that the changes that they're going to make can actually, you know, maybe start. I don't think it's going to fully turn it around, but start to turn it around. They successfully created multiple compelling reasons to play arena. They just haven't made it fun yet for me, you know? So.
Well, I mean, if there's a I think a 0% chance I play Tarkov proper again.
Yeah.
There's a 0.00. There's 10 to the negative 17% chance that I play arena.
Oh
again.
yeah.
10 to the negative 17 for those of you playing.
Is a negative number.
It's not. It is not. Jesse's role playing as a flat earther. It's a very small decimal with a lot of zeros.
Yep.
But it is not negative. It's not 0. Yeah.
So what you're trying to say is there's a slightly higher chance you'd come back to play arena?
A slightly higher than 0.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the more that I play, the more I really do think that the kit system could be, depending on how they do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Could be a big thing.
Deal.
Could be the big deal, because the desync is bad and the audio is bad, which obviously I wish they would fix, but I don't know if there's any expectation of that. But just I don't know. Giving a little bit of agency, I think, would go a long way. Changing that grind, changing that kit, that preset grind. We talked back when we were both playing arena a lot that like, what am I grinding for? Like, this next kit sucks, you know. Yeah. But then the next kit is the good one, you know. If that grind changes to, I don't know how they're gonna do the custom presets or whatever, but I unlocked this scope. Now I can use this scope on this gun for a while. Ooh, I unlocked that gun. You know, if they can change that around and give a little bit more player freedom, I think that could go a long way. And then all of this ref stuff, all of these cool keys and loot boxes, maybe then they're now the icing on the cake. So we'll see. The only other Tarkov thing other than that is Nikita tweeted a bunch of pictures of new, it's a new spot on a map, and we can't tell if it's a new map or an expansion to a map, or what map would it be.
That looks like,
we're almost positive it's woods. I'm like 99% sure it's woods.
It's either woods or it
kind of gives off some reserve vibes too.
No, it looks like, if I'm looking at the same one. Wait, is this what he posted where he's like,
Yeah. ...
Yeah. That looks to me to be the train yard up above the water treatment plant. On Lighthouse.
Yeah, it's because every single one of the assets in these pictures is also there.
No, but I feel like,
go to the third picture. The one with the red forklift right in the middle on the bottom. Is that the one you're looking at?
Yeah, that looks like,
okay. In the
Lighthouse.
In the distance, You see, there's those two that almost like look like nuclear power plants.
I was gonna say the stacks.
Yeah, I can show you those two on Woods. Like the
I can show you
on Woods. Nuclear power plants.
Shining, shimmering fission.
Yeah. Like the extract by the tank where the green smoke has to be up.
Yeah.
If it's there or that. If you're standing right there on that road where the tank is, you can see both of those spaced exactly apart. So I think if you're looking at those by that, it's all the way to the right down the road. It's basically near that red brick factory building. Farther down that road is going to be this, is what I think.
Wait, let me look at something. I just went to type in Tarkov maps and it auto-completed Tarkov murders. Lol.
Oh.
Woods is kind of near Lighthouse. Okay, here's my completely out of touch theory. That right there is
open world
Lighthouse.
Baby.
It's Lighthouse, but what we're seeing, because you know how historically what we always see is like the map, and then there's like, oh, there's the city skyline of streets that is added.
Yeah.
And the shoreline thing, gets shown with the thing, and then they connect it kind of like visually to Lighthouse, like Path to Lighthouse. Imagine if that was like the visual representation of, he was teasing Woods connected with Lighthouse. If you pull up the map, Woods and Lighthouse are both, like, Woods is kind of near the coast-ish.
Yeah.
And Lighthouse is on the coast.
Yeah.
And then there's a bunch of like industrial buildings in between.
Yeah. So, I mean, that is basically the thought, is that, like, my thought is that whatever this expansion is on whatever map, the reason for it is serving the purpose of map-to-map travel and or some semblance of an open world map. Because back in the day, when they released, in 2019, when they released Reserve, remember, a novelty of Reserve was the train extract. It's going to come and it's going to take you.
That's got to be the way to go.
And in 2019, they were like, yeah, and eventually there's going to be a train on every map, and this is going to take you to the other maps. I mean, they just said that in 2019 when this came out. And so they're adding a train yard to a map. There's already a train yard on Lighthouse. There's train tracks that run through almost every map in the game. And so whatever this is, I'm pretty sure it is that it serves that purpose of map-to-map travel. He teased on streets, the red car where you can map-to-map travel. I think this is going to be another way to do it a lot of the times. And it might be to Lighthouse, like, you might be right.
Dude, can you fucking imagine you're in factory and you hear... and then fucking Thomas the Tank Engine, fucking Kool-Aid Man comes blasting through the building.
Bro.
I'm just thinking about the Skyrim mod where all the dragons are Thomas the Tank Engine.
Amazing. What if that's one of the reasons why they have to redo Factory? What if they're redoing Factory and either in a corner or like right through the middle, the factory is like a train yard factory and a train comes through? Now it's all connected. Yes, suck that sweet, sweet copium. Listen. Oh. It's not even necessarily copium, because I still don't see a reason for map-to-map travel. So it's like, I'm trying to call their shot, but I still think it's a weird shot. You know what I mean? I still don't know in what universe I would be slightly less ammo. Maybe my armor was hit a little bit. I've got some loot in my bag. In what universe am I like, let's go here, as opposed to let's just go back to the stash and then queue up for this map?
Yeah.
Unless I can get to another map in 30 seconds or less. I would avoid the stash with loot on me and with half armor if I could just get to another raid in 30 seconds, right?
Yeah.
If it's 3 minutes, why not just hop into the stash, heal up, and then queue the next map, you know?
Now, see, this just came into my head, literally apropos of nothing, out of nowhere, but actually not apropos of nothing. Someone just typed in train camping. And all I was thinking about was how that could be a nightmare, like on a map like Factory.
Yeah.
But what I was thinking was imagine, you know how like on reserve in the building, the hangar that like the train comes through, how there's like the two platforms that maybe if you have max strength you can jump across.
Yeah.
But like,
yeah.
Imagine there was a thing that you couldn't get across from Factory proper, the main map, right? And then imagine the train came in and all the doors, there's like 7 doors, and all the doors open and they all open towards like the wall, so that you would have to camp it from the other side, and it would almost be like you don't know where they're gonna come from. And
there's something like that.
Because then it would make it so that like you can at least get out of the train. If there's 7 entrances, then they're not just gonna instantly throw a grenade the moment the doors open. Or if they did, you still have like a 1 in 7 chance that they hit you with it. And then from there, you can go out and have multiple ways of getting out. Maybe there's like a staircase with a platform that's like broken that you can only get. You can go this way, but not this way.
Yeah. What if you can hit it like the BTR? What if there's MGs on it and you can pay for protection? Because like in the BTR, I can pay to have it take me somewhere. I can pay an additional fee for protection, and it shoots anything it sees. Player scav, PMC, it shoots anything on the way.
Sitting there holed up like camping the train, but
I paid. It's just like
fucking Normandy, dude.
And then we just hop out. And because of the train alarm, you have the time to get out of the way in case they paid for protection. You know, so that would be kind of cool. Imagine, I just thought about this, and I hesitate to even say it because I'm going to speak it into existence. After map-to-map travel, the quest, the guide, will undoubtedly be to do them all without coming back to the stash.
Fuck yourself.
Yeah. It's coming. You know it is. I'm just preparing. If you're listening to this, you know that they're going to do it. I'm just preparing you. I'm preparing you for it.
Nikita out here taking notes. That was the only thing he's like, oh, good idea. The only thing we've talked about all night that he's like,
finally, the podcast has something.
Finally contributing to the game for the first time.
Yeah.
Not just bitching.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, I was talking about this on stream the other day. I was like, 2 months ago, if you had asked if we were going to get open world or map-to-map travel, I would have said fat chance for both of them. And in the past 2 months, we've gotten actual leaks for map-to-map travel, and Nikita said on the podcast that open world is still planned. I still don't see how that fits into our timeline, maybe the hot dog finger timeline, but so maybe I'm just wrong about everything. Maybe they have a grand plan. I really don't know, but I'm interested. At this point, dude, I'm just along for the ride. You know what I mean? We'll see how she goes, but it's coming. I mean, I don't think that they've straight up said, I could be wrong. I don't think they straight up said that map-to-map travel is coming in this next patch, but they are definitely making it seem like it is. So, I don't know. Or nah. I don't know, man. But
what they need is a fucking Diablo 4 style resurrection, where right now Diablo 4 is actually like unironically fantastic in my opinion.
Nice.
They made a lot of changes. I had to relearn everything, dude.
Really?
My like, this is how items work in Diablo 4 video from way back in the day. It's completely and utterly
interesting.
Irrelevant. Everything is different, and it's in a good way. There's a ton more end game shit. There's a lot more customization that you can do with the items. There's a little bit less RNG. Remember like how there were items, the uber uniques that were like 1 in a trillion chance?
Yeah.
I have 3 of them now. And so there's ways that you can craft them. That it just takes like, you can get like 4 characters to like level 100 ish in about that amount of time.
That's cool.
And then you can craft them. So I don't know, they've done a really good job. It's been cool getting back into it.
That's always good, man. That's like, it's always a W. I mean, Cyberpunk did the same thing where it was like, It's always a W when they stick with it long enough to turn it around. You know what I mean? And really like get it into a nice place. Obviously, it would be great if this Diablo 4 was launched. You know what I mean? Like, oh, but that's still dope.
But I mean, the thing is that they've made mega changes.
Yeah.
Like significant ones that are the kind of changes that like we would propose for Tarkov when we're theory crafting, but we would be saying, but there's no way they would do this.
Yeah.
They've actually done. And I completely forgot, dude. I'm like, fuck, man, I really wish there was a target dummy. And I'm like, wait, there is a target dummy. Wait, that was my idea.
You got the target dummy. Yeah.
I forgot, dude. I was like, oh shit. Like I had this realization. I'd been gone for so long. I forgot that there was this feature in the game that literally the dev like added me and was like, yo, we added your shit.
Yeah.
What?
That's actually.
But
so dope.
I would say the only downside that really isn't that much of a downside. In some ways, it's an upside. But remember how I was talking about how I never had a character in Diablo 2 like above level 95. It would take
yeah.
It would take like 3 months
the grind
from like
difference.
95 to 96 and like 6 months from 96 to 97. Like I just never ever had a character. You can get to level 100, which is the max level, in under 4 hours.
In Diablo 4 now?
In Diablo 4, yeah.
Do you like that?
Here's the thing.
I don't even say that in a negative way. I actually mean like there's got to be pros and cons to that, right? Yeah.
It's good and it's bad. So in my opinion, it's great for like the normal casual players, just full stop.
For sure.
For the people that grind, what is interesting about it is that, well, first of all, remember how I said if you get like 4 characters up to like a higher level, you make a bunch of progress, then you get one of that's basically 25% of like an uber unique. So you're actually incentivized to like make a bunch of characters and power level them, and it's a lot easier to respec. Now they have, before you used to have to go and like uncheck one of like at a time of like 150 things. Now there's like a respec all button. So it's like I've tried a ton of different builds. Yeah. It's a lot easier to respec the builds. It's a lot less work, and it's just a lot less overhead. And because back in the day, there wasn't really a ton of reason. Once you get your character to 100, there was no reason to keep playing with the character.
Like you're saying, like Diablo 2 days? Like if you did finally get through that grind, you were like at the end?
No, in Diablo 2 days, the only ones that got to level 99 were bots that would 24/7 farm. Dang. I mean, not really. There were some people that did it legit, but
so few.
Almost.
Okay.
You look at the leaderboards in the top 100, they're all just bots that, or playing 24/7 and just farming. But in Diablo 4, there wasn't really much of a reason because you could basically do all the content kind of trivially.
Yeah.
You're not making progress and you have the best gear. Now you can get to level 100 and still like not be able to do, there's a million different kinds of things you can do. You could do these pit runs that go way up to the, like when I was playing, the like max level of the monsters was like 100 or whatever. Now they can be like level 200. And the amount that you can increase your gear is with the new gear customization is like, it's going to take a long time to grind to get your gear to be max. So it's almost like you're level 100, but your gear is level 50. So then you got to grind to then incrementally get your gear a little bit better.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that makes sense to like you can, to set it up in a way where if you play more casually, you can do the thing you want to do with your character. That's achievable now. And if you want to grind, well, there's a reason to just do that thing a bunch of times. So, you know what I mean? As opposed to just making level 99 incomprehensibly hard to get. It's like we made it relatively easy to get, but if you want the best of the best, or if you want this, do it 15 times. So it like, I mean, that feels like a best of both worlds.
Yeah, and honestly, the best part is just that like there were 2 builds that were incredible to play in D2 that were just so much fun. that were historically kind of just sort of meh in D4, that now they're like A tier, not necessarily S tier.
Yeah.
But like, and it's the Whirlwind Barbarian was one of my favorites, where you're literally just a spin to win. Where honestly, like now you can with the build I have, you're literally, I'm like holding right click and just spinning, and it's just like, you know, seeing 80 enemies just go and crumble is the reason why you played like ARPGs.
Yeah.
You want your attack
the power
to just
fantasy.
take out. Yeah. And then the other one is Frozen Orb, Sorceress, where like you just chuck literally like a frozen orb, and it spins, and it kind of just like almost like a galaxy, like spiral galaxy kind of thing with like all these ice, and it like freezes everything and then pops, and it's just like this super satisfying. You just like and it was just mediocre as fuck back in the day. And then now jumping in, they're like, I'm doing end game stuff totally comfortably. Sick. It feels good. I'm still dying, which is good. Like, and it just feels really good, honestly. So if you guys played Diablo 4 before and you were maybe kind of like meh before, I would say maybe give it another try. This new season has a lot of good stuff to it, and it's been
That's
cool.
Dope. That's a W. Have you seen, I'm sure we've talked about this before, but you haven't, did you get into any Souls-like games? I know the Elden Ring DLC is like a huge deal going on in gaming. It's dropping.
No, I
tonight,
beat the first. Yeah, I beat the first mini boss. Remember the statue that turns into a fucking blood dragon, and then after like 2 hours, and then I'm like, cool, I'm done. I played Elden Ring for like 45 minutes, and I had on stream, and I had to like stop just because chat was being like, it was the most backseaty of the most backseaty, where all these like wannabe pros just came in and were like, do this, do that. I'm like, I just want to ride my horse around and see.
How dare you have fun?
So yeah,
and you know what's crazy
I just never
too
went back to it.
Is that those people will say that the best part of it was like learning how to do it, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like that, like they'll say that that's what's great about those games, is that it forces you to like learn, but then they can't fathom watching someone learn. It's like, I swear to God, if you don't do this color this combination and dodge during this attack, I'm gonna freak out. And it's like, well, then go away. Like you got there, you arrived, you say you like these games because of this process. You know what I mean? That is the point of the games, you know? So yeah, that's brutal.
I've been kind of thinking about, I don't know why. I think because I was watching like some Forged in Fire and some other shit where I want to look at, I think it's Sekiro.
Oh yeah.
Which I think, is that actually like a Souls game, or is that made by someone else?
I think it's a Souls-like, where it's made by someone else. But I mean, it could be a FromSoft. It is FromSoft. Okay, I'm wrong. Souls.
Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like I'd almost want to give that a try before any of the other ones, just because there's just something about like
Samurai.
Bloodborne has the exact aesthetic I fucking hate. I hate that like wannabe weird vampire steampunk shit. I fucking hate that aesthetic. I just don't like vampires, and it's got that kind of like
like Transylvania vibe.
The Soul stuff is pretty metal, like the Dark Souls 3, all that that kind of vibe is. I could maybe get behind that a little bit, but I don't know. There's something about, I don't know if it's Sekiro or Sekiro.
I'm not sure.
That actually looks. I know Bloodborne is incredible.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Like as a game,
yeah,
I just can't. Yeah,
I just can't. So I don't know. Maybe at some point I'll give those games a try. I don't know. I've been on like the opposite of tryhard mode. I've been playing fucking Balatro and like Diablo,
and that's the other thing too, right? Is like exactly, and it's the same thing. Same thing. I'm arriving at the same thing from a different place, where it's like I'm in tryhard mode all the time in Tarkov. That if I was gonna swap, I wouldn't want it to be something. I would want it to be something more chill. And you're in chill mode, so you're like, I don't want to go freaking try hard and fight the same boss for 3 hours. Elden Ring looks so sick to me. I love watching Deadly play it. I love the vibe. I love the like how over the top it is sometimes, but then how understated and subtle it is. And the other times the world looks sick. I just don't want to play the game. I want to watch the movie. You know what I mean? I want to watch Deadly play it.
Oh, that would be such an
I
incredible
want to watch the movie.
Fuck.
I want George R. R. Martin to get, HBO Elden Ring series. I just don't really want to play the game. I was talking on chat earlier though, that like I am invested in the happenings of it because I just love the W it represented for gaming. Like giant studio with many beloved franchises, an unbelievable amount of hype. Elden Ring was almost like a mini GTA 6. I'm not saying it was on that level, but it's like, this is a studio that you've been hitting nonstop W's and you're doing this big ambitious thing, and all these other studios that we loved are making these really shitty games, and it wasn't overly monetized. It delivered on what it wanted to be at launch. It was such a W that I was like, I don't want to play it, but I'm so glad you guys are having fun. Like, this is good.
Yeah.
So exactly. I just don't really want to play it. But I hope the DLC is great. I know so many people in my chat have been like so pumped to check it out this weekend.
Yeah,
I hope it's
same.
great, man. I hope you guys love it. All the reviews seem to be insane. So yeah, it's fun. I love watching Deadly because he just so intentionally uses such non-meta builds, and it just drives the backseaters out of control, and he just finds a way through. Like, it might take him 80 tries on this boss, but he finds a way to do it. And I just connect with him playing the game. It's so fun. So
I've never fully understood like the way I haven't watched enough of it or seen enough of Souls games or played enough to really know like maybe this is just it. But what it seems like to me is you travel around and there's a bunch of like kind of unimportant shit all over the place until you get to Uber boss number 1, right?
Yeah.
And they have this attack pattern that you have to fucking grind, and you die, and then you spawn like 15 seconds away, and you run, go through the little misty door, and then fucking die to them, and then whatever. And then it's like, once you win, it's like, hell yeah, get on your horse and I guess ride to like the next Uber boss number 2.
Yeah.
And do the same thing. And I guess it's like, that could very well be it.
Yeah.
That also might be maybe why I've never, like, maybe that's not it.
Yeah.
And that's why it never has resonated with me, because I don't quite get it.
There is a lot of, and I'm speaking more on Elden Ring because I've seen a lot more than that of that than Dark Souls. But like, what seems cool about the open world aesthetic is that the non-linear aspect of it means you could just like walk up to a boss that is just like literally unkillable. Like you are not
Which
ready
is what
for
I did when I played Elden Ring.
You're not ready for that boss. And so there's a lot of gear specking. Like, I see they've spent a lot of times, like, you go kill this boss because you can handle them, and then you get either this XP or this item, and there's tons of like charms. There's like the theory, what's it called? Not theory crafting, gear crafting. There's like a word for it. I don't know. Like when you're trying to like min-max your gear.
Meta crafting?
Is just like a huge build crafting or whatever. I don't care. That's a huge part of it. Like constantly respecking, finding new items, finding magical auras, finding trinkets, and it's all like, and then you try and go back and you get this boss and maybe you get him and then he gives you, so it's like, Elden Ring seems pretty non-linear, and it allows you to kind of like, I think the grind of speccing your character is a big part of it. Not just like going from this boss to this boss to this boss. You might run into this boss and then not come back to him for 2 weeks.
It seems like it makes sense from the perspective of someone who's played the game and knows those things.
Yeah.
From the perspective of, I've never played really.
Yeah.
I picked up like one sword ever by the time I was like done with Dark Souls 3.
Yeah.
And again, this is me, no shade. I recognize I am a casual when it comes to this. So like, I don't even know what I don't know. I didn't even know that there were like iframes with dodging. So like that.
Yeah.
Until I was fucking done with the fight, So like, but I just wonder, and maybe I'll have to go back and look again because I just don't remember. And I had chat kind of telling me
Yeah,
kind of what to do, which was like, I didn't know if they were debating me into making dumb decisions but it's like, from a new player's perspective, I wandered around, fought some like random little skeletons.
Yeah, what am I doing?
I saw like one of the first enemies I saw was like a big ass fucking dude, that was like impossible to fight, but I didn't know that. So it's like, am I bad? Do I keep practicing on this guy, or do I not waste my time? It's not clear to me.
Yeah.
And that seems like the whole game. It's open world. You go to wherever.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm going to the boss I shouldn't, like, if someone's like, oh, hun, you shouldn't be fighting.
Yeah.
You know?
And it definitely feels like that. It feels that way, where at this point, Elden Ring is an expansion of this type of game. And so if you don't know this type of game, it's like, it's hard to kind of figure. It feels very much so for the fans of that type of game. But yeah, so I don't know. I just saw that it was happening this weekend, and people were super hyped up about it. And yeah, it's just a game that hasn't, I think don't quote me on this, but I think they said this is going to be the only DLC. Like, I think they're just done with it after this, and it's just interesting to see a game not like crazy monetized. You can buy magical auras or better mounts or skins. It's just like,
I mean, it makes sense, right?
Dope ass game, dope ass DLC. That's it.
Yeah, and then go make fucking Eldenist ring.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, seriously. So, yeah.
Imagine if they made like a shooter.
That would be sick. That'd be sick.
I know you had like, you could use like guns in Bloodborne or something, I think, but
maybe I don't know, to kill the vampires.
How about that?
Anyways, that is the stuff for this week, guys. Thank you so much for hanging. Thank you so much to MeUndies and Athletic Greens and AG1 for sponsoring this episode. Yeah, thank you guys for hanging. I mean, I think we're kind of back into the zone where there's not going to be a whole lot of Tarkov stuff to talk about, which honestly, I kind of enjoy a break from it. You know, I love talking about your projects, flat earth, how people think, science, religion, gaming, like, so I don't know. This part of every wipe is always when it's funny, because the comments are like either where's the Tarkov stuff, or like, it's always about me. It's always like Jesse's sitting there listening to Veritas talk about whatever, and he just wants to talk about Tarkov. It's so funny because I'm so over talking about Tarkov sometimes, you know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. But so thank you guys for hanging. If you would like more content like this, you can head over to the PP, patreon.com/thepodcastpod, where you can get early ad-free access to these episodes and even additional episodes that we record every week for the homies over there. I think that's about it. Thank you guys for hanging, and we will definitely see y'all on the next one.
Peace.